a full hour of me talking. So welcome. This is the first of two LibGuide creation training basics. Just kind of, if you've never gone in and created one, or if you've been handed LibGuides, but you don't actually have the experience of going in and making one for yourself or kind of brainstorming one from scratch, this is kind of the intention of getting this started. We're terming these sandboxes as in the intention of if you want to try something out before you actually go in and start messing with someone else's that you've been handed, because obviously you don't go in and mess with somebody else's without permission unless it's been handed to you, just as a best practice. So my name is Sarah. I am the librarian at the Lafayette campus. I've been with Ivy Tech for 13 years now. I have been with the library for about 10. So, and I do have my master's. And one of the things that we did when we were in my master's was actually have a class where we spent a lot of time working with LibGuides. So I am not the most proficient at them, but they don't scare me in the sense that I'm willing to dig in and try and find an answer if I don't know one. And one thing I will say about a LibGuide is you can go in and even if you think you've messed it up, we can help you figure out how to unmess it, because it's a bunch of widgets and moving around and stuff like that. So for the most part, it's not something that you can go in and irreparably break within like your own personal guide. So I kind of want to remove the fear of that if you're not familiar with them. So LibGuide is basically a place that operates for us like a website, right? So you have each of you have your own local websites. So for example, if I go to mine, that is what is basically powering the back end of this. So Liz kind of and the others sort of handle the back end of a lot of these, but this is basically also a LibGuide that has been set up to function as our website. So they're very versatile. They have a bunch of different uses and options. I'll just show one or two here just so you have an idea of what they might look like. So this is one that I put together for our bookstore because we were handed the bookstore at our campus. And I just wanted a place that was really easy to stick somewhere where I didn't have to go through systems office to try and have something added major to the big website that is, the main Ivy Tech website. But this is something that I can go in and edit. I can add information to. So this is basically a LibGuide as well, but the more familiar LibGuides that you probably have seen are probably going to be more under what we would call library guides. We have statewide, we've got local guides. These can come and go. They can be muted or made private if you don't want them out there. That's kind of, I think, where some of us are at with a few of the accessibility things that we're still working on. I know I was very close to just muting or hiding one of these because it still needs a lot of work on the accessibility side, and I'm redoing it. But I didn't want to completely remove it so that it would still be available if I needed to share information from it. So I assume at this point that all of you have access to LibApps, yes? So you all have seen this page. It may look a little different for you. This is going to be what you have access to. Thing to note is up here on the top, you can also click this little blue button and it will give you all the stuff you have access to as well. LibGuides is the one that I just like it linked to LibApps. It just lets it easier for me to get to everything that I need to possibly get to. But again, any of these blue boxes that exist on these pages will take you right back to any of those things. So this is a page that we will get to. We're going to go over just some basic creation steps, the importance of accessibility, and I hope everyone has signed up for the accessibility trainings that will happen next week with Natasha. Accessibility is becoming more and more a touchstone thing for how we make sure that digital asset access is available as consistently to everyone as possible. With obviously new tools coming out, that will probably change as time goes by. But the nice thing is also working with SpringShare is they will also provide trainings. They have some of that stuff as well, I think, as more of that rolls out. So just keep your eye open. You can always ask, those of us who play around in here, and we can help you out with that too. We're going to go over just some basic layout options, the boxes functionality, just as a reminder, because if you were in any of Liz's either instruction beginner or advanced instruction, she kind of went over boxes and widgets and layouts and all of that. But this is just to give you a visual and give you the opportunity to go in and try it for yourself. The end goal here is that you feel comfortable with the basics of creating and then using the options that are available. And then also knowing and feeling comfortable to ask if you have questions. So we're going to get started. This right here is on the library statewide. Pull this up here. Sorry, screens are all funky. I'm going to throw this in here. So that link right there will take you to this particular page. This lives on the staff resources guide. It is one of the best options to have open. Some of these are also going to be available within the creation steps itself, but this is great to sort of review, gives you some facts, FAQs you can go and look at. It's going to walk you through just the basic information. So obviously creating a new guide will come in and it will just walk you through as you go through. So I know this looks like a lot. It's really not. It's just you'll start to memorize and remember your steps as you go along. But as with anything, the first time you do it, the first 2 or 3 times you do it, it's nice to have instructions that you can go just back and make sure, yep, I did that. Yep, I did that. Yep, I did that. Additionally, let me grab this link here. When you come into this actual page, and I'll show you how to get to here in a minute, all of this, for the most part, it's going to be very similar, or it'll take you to the guide to guides here. But it's also going to give you some very basic minimal versions of that within the instructions itself as well. Okay. So on your main page as well, before we go any farther, this is good for all of you to probably check, because if you've been handed any guides by anyone, if someone's retired, if you've taken on a new role that someone else had before you, more than likely you've been handed either access or control of various guides. And on this main page, you would click Edit Existing Guides, and you can click down and you will see your guides. Okay? You'll have options. Some of them will be published, some of them will be private, and then some of them will be unpublished. So I have some unpublished guides in here that someone was working on before I started, and they just either never made it into published status, or they did and they realized afterwards, we don't need this anymore. It was for a particular project. So we just completely unpublished it. We just don't want to remove it completely because there might still be helpful information here that I might want to go back and find later. So, and you could also find other guides by others in the state as well this way. But the things that are kind of important for you guys, especially the newer ones who are just kind of figuring this out, is to go in and see what you have living in these spaces. Okay. Excuse me. One thing I also want to point out before we go any farther is I'm sure Natasha has other accessibility checkers as well. May not be the best one, but it is one that I find to be very helpful just for the basics as I am going through and doing, the very beginnings of things, just to make sure I'm not completely botched something at the beginning. And I can come in and grab this link, come to this tool, type this in, and it will take me to a checker page. Basically will tell me what I just need to be aware of over here on the side. Some of the most common errors that I've seen pop up are headers. So when you go in, and Liz kind of talked about this a little bit, where you have header 1, header 2, header 3, and it's basically telling the screen reader what order in which to read things. So it's giving it an understanding of how it stacks up. And sometimes you may have the header like 1, 2, 3, right? This is 1, so this lives under this is under it, this lives under this one. If they're in the wrong order, so if this is a header 3 and this is a header 2, it's going to yell at you because the screen reader is it's going to struggle. It's not going to know what to do with that. It's not smart. It's just reading what you've given it. And over here on the side, you can also click on things. And let me actually find one, see if I can get it to give me. You can get, when you click on something here, you can click for a code, which will actually show you the full code down here on the bottom. Or you can click reference, and over here on the side, it will tell you and give you explanation, including the guidelines for what guideline you are trying to match, or why the guideline, is saying what it's saying. So this is sort of just a helpful tool as you're getting into these things, as you're becoming familiar, because it does do it in a nice visual way, while also giving you access to the data all in one spot. So it's one reason why I've just found the Wave Accessibility tool. I think it's listed in the other thing, but I'll also drop it in here just so it's here. I've just found that to be additionally a helpful tool as you get going. All right. I have a note in here. This will save you having to completely undo or redo things. It's always good. All right. So when we come in, and we're going to do Create a guide. Yay. Let me check to see what title I said we wanted it as. So we are going to use a naming convention for all of these. And this is a naming convention so that you can find it and we can find it. If we need to go in and locate any sandbox that needs to be looked at or something, we can go in and find it as well. So there's a naming convention. Normal naming conventions will be in like here, right? Where it says what the convention is for the guides that you would have on your page. Again, it's just to keep things nice and clean so you don't have a bunch of the same stuff without being able to differentiate if it's yours or someone else's. So I will do this. And I'm actually going to do test 1 because that way I can do it tomorrow too. So we'll read up here on the top, right? In the gray box, choose either library guides. So this right here is going to say which of the templates you want. This is going to be either a top tab or a side nav. And you can change this once you make it. This is not a one and done deal. So if you get in there and you're like, you know, for what I need, I actually think this would look better. And you'll decide that as you go in, where it's just maybe it's a little busy and one way might look a little better. Or if you realize that everything else on your page is set up one way and you've done one a different direction, you can go in and edit. So the two that we have are going to be the library guides tab layout and the library guides side nav. I'm going to do tab because it's more of one that I just consistently use. All right, you can put a course description or a guide description in here if you want. This is not required, but if it's helpful for you to have, you can do so. The purpose, I'm going to do general purpose because I'm not doing anything really specific, but I believe it's on here. Yep. So when you go to choose your guide type, this, if you're unsure, you can always come in here and just review which of these guide types make sense for what I'm trying to instruct somebody on. So again, a lot of this stuff lives over on this guide, which is really helpful. All right, you can assign it to a group. This for me will be Lafayette. Again, this is just an easy way for us to find things. If you happen to be working with ORAD or one of the other groups, it might be a little different. That's where you would want to check and verify to make sure you know what's going on. Password, probably not necessary for any of the stuff we're doing here, but password protected stuff does sometimes happen depending on the sensitivity of the topic, or if you have stuff in there that has to be locked down for only like 5 people. But again, that's going to be pretty, yes.
Sorry, I'm going to pop in real quick. For the group assignment today, I do have a group called Sandbox Library Guides that you can put your guide in. I just plugged that into chat, and you will get the same layout as all of our public groups. However, if anyone has an automatically generated list of guides, your sandbox won't accidentally show up on your public facing guides list.
Awesome. So thank you.
The sandbox guide or group today, it should work well for you.
Great. The sharing your guide content, this is something that I am going to do no for this guide because nobody really needs this out there in the LibGuides community. This is one of those things where if you were creating something that you did not want Indiana University coming in and being able to like copy, aspects of your guide, then you could limit it to internal. That would be part of our crew. Community it's out there. You can find it. So it's great to have stuff out there in the community. I don't think this one needs to be out there. So I'm just going to say no. So we should be able to go ahead and hit create guide, have no issues. Okay. Now I will say back on that page, we're not going to do this today because it's not the intention of what we're doing. But if you were going in and you wanted to create a copy of someone else's guide with the ability to edit it yourself, you could go in and copy from here as well. This is one of those things where I think I said in one of the sessions that I attended before, always make sure before you go and borrow aspects of another guide, that you've checked with that guide owner first to make sure that it's okay and they know that you're doing that. Most of us have no issues with that. But again, it's just best practice to verify that everybody's cool, there's no issues before you go in and do that. So just kind of keep that in the back of your mind if you're going to go in and borrow a layout of somebody else's. Okay. Let's get sorry, my mouse is down here, so I'm like scrolling the wrong direction. Okay. So I had mentioned that obviously you can come in here and change your layout. Some of these things, if any of you ever have control over the main library website, there are certain expectations for that, and you can reach out to Liz or one of us on systems team, or send a systems teams message if you're confused about that, where we do have like conventions that we want you to keep for those pages, so they all pretty much look the same in structure and format. Because if we have someone in a state chat who's trying to help one of your students and they're on your web page, they don't need to know 19 different versions of the same information just all over the place. So it's nice to keep everything pretty much within that same structure and layout. Creativity is fantastic, but not on those pages, not above the scroll. And part of this is where I could change. For example, I right now have a 25, a 50, and a 25. So that's just deciding I've got two smaller bars on the side and one larger in the middle. I could change it and make them all even in here in the middle, where they'd all be the same width. Again, this is going to depend on what you're putting in here and how you have things in your head as you're going along. You could decide to do 2 columns instead. So I have other columns in there, which is why it's being funky. Normally, most of yours are probably going to be 3 columns wide. So there's functionality in here for that. You can also, where did I do it at? Right. So the guide navigation layout is up here in this very top. You can come in here, and I could come in and change it from the library guides tab to library guides side. And I could hit save. And what that would do is it would shove all of these over here on the side. And what you would also notice is that some of your ability to change where your boxes and your layouts are went away. You don't have them to the same level. And that's because one of those bars or one of those side areas is now completely for navigational purposes. So this is where playing around in here is going to be helpful. It's going to give you a little more of a feel of how that's all going to structure. Okay. Also, I'm just gonna create one in here so I can show you what this looks like. I create test 2, and I come to page settings. Now I've got down here where I can see several different options, right? You've got pages, boxes, content items. So if I go to boxes, you'll notice that I have things in all 3 of these columns. Well, I accidentally put test 2 over here when I really wanted it over by test. So I just grab and I drop. Okay. And I hit save, and it moves it for me. And I don't have to go recreate it, make a new asset. I can just completely chunk it because it's all within the same major guide. I can also come up here and I can do page 2. I could change it to a subpage of home, or I could leave it alone. So we're going to leave it alone, and then I'll show you what the subpage looks like here in a minute. So I hit save. I now have a second page appear, and now I'm like, oh, no, I really wanted it to be a subpage. Darn it. Okay, so I can come in here and say, I just need to reorder my pages. And I grab this and I say, okay, you're going to be up there. And I hit save, and now it's under there. So a lot of this stuff, because it's widget based and it's built into how the functionality of it all works, you can move things around. There's a lot of ability to move. Certain things that are kind of funky and that you can't move as easily are maybe like content, a little bit like links. Once you've actually built things into those boxes, that can be a little bit more individually. You have to shift them a little bit more that way. Or you could copy the box. If you've got like 5 links in one, you want to move to a different box, but you want to leave that box because those other 3 links, you want to leave them. You could copy the box and just delete the other ones out. So there's functionality that way. It's, again, just kind of playing around and figuring out what the functionality is with what your needs are in specific. Also, I could come in and say, oh, I want to reuse a box because we've already got some really great ones out here. So I could come in here and I could say, oh, from my bookstore, because it's going to start you with your guides, and then it's going to give you all the guides. And you could always search if you know specifically what you're looking for. You can search for it as well, but I'm just going to grab it from the bookstore. I want to take my book pickup information, and we're going to do, it's called books. Now, this blue box is helpful because it's going to tell you it's going to be a mapped box. That means anything that I change on my other page will change here. But then I'm like, well, I don't want that to happen because I need to be able to edit this. Then I can come down here and just say, then I'll create a copy and it won't map. And I will have to make sure that any information I need changed on this page, I change for myself. This is a good example of this is I, with Liz's permission, took some of the stuff from one of her guides and added it to one of my guides. But because her guide had Fort Wayne specific information on it that obviously I don't want on my guide, I needed to copy it instead of map it so that I could go in and just change that one box. I could have built a page, gone in and copied each box, but I just decided to make a copy of the whole page instead of doing individual mapped boxes. So again, puzzle pieces, building blocks, they kind of fit and shift a little differently depending on what you need. So I can hit save. Now, if I wanted to do the same thing, I want to show you one thing as well to tell you what a map box is so you know what a map box looks like. Cancel. There we go. I want this one. Oh no. Why have I lost my...
Try refreshing your page. I've noticed it hiccups every now and then. And usually refreshing will bring it back.
There we go. Okay, so if I want to do the same thing, but I'm going to leave it mapped because I want to show you what that looks like. Because then you're like, oh, is it mapped? How do I know? And I hit save. You'll notice that there is a difference here. It's not a very big difference, but there's a difference. Next to book pickup, there's nothing. Next to this one down here, there's a little icon. That little icon tells you where it's mapped to. And that means that if you were like, oh, I need to change this, you know where to go change it. Okay. So you will not see this on an active live guide. It's only on the back end, but it's an easy way for you to be able to tell what's mapped and what isn't. All right. Every time we created one of these boxes, we have created an asset. And I know this is something that has been discussed fairly recently about making sure we go in and do with our assets. So let me pull back up my main LibGuides page. And just so this is in the back of your mind, so you have it thinking there, as you're creating, if you realize that you needed to delete a box, I made a box by accident, I don't actually need this, you can come back to this page, you can click on assets. My page is a whole lot faster to load, I think, than Liz's. I can come to owner. I can look for me. I can do filter. These are all the things on my guides, right? All those assets. Now, let's do by date. Maybe because it's not, my guide isn't published yet, so it's probably not popping up here. But what you would do is after you've published your guide, you've deleted a couple boxes because as you're creating, you're deleting and creating, and this is where you would go to find that thing you deleted and that you have zero mappings on because it's nowhere, and you can delete it. And that way you don't wind up with a list of 50 things in here that you have to go remember at some point to go back and delete out. So this is just something, a good kind of rule of thumb as you're checking to make sure that your guide is accessible, also checking to make sure that the assets are not lingering, that you do not need anymore.
Yeah.
Okay.
The reason you're not seeing anything in your assets list is the boxes that you copied today only have a rich text HTML asset in them.
Oh, that's right.
And those do not go to the assets list.
So once I come in here and start messing around, if I decided to add, stuff, they would appear. Okay. And if you need any information or assistance with asset cleanup, you can always do a Teams message or a internal Teams queue with the systems team, and we can help you figure out what you're doing with that. All right. So, so one thing to keep in mind as well is even if more than one campus, let's say it's not a statewide project, but more than one campus decided we're both going to create a LibGuide for this particular course or this particular purpose. No two guides are ever probably going to look exactly the same, and that is completely fine. The way your brain works is the way your LibGuides will work. And since you're the ones keeping up with those LibGuides, that's really important. Also, something to keep in mind, though, is that if you have interactions with students, make sure that the guides that you're creating are addressing the student need, and also something that they can access without too many clicks. We all know that the more clicks you have to do to get into stuff, the harder it is to keep the attention, right? People will get bored, people will get frustrated, and they'll stop. So trying to keep from having 50 gazillion guides is really helpful, but also trying to keep from having like 50 gazillion pages on one guide is also really helpful. So again, if you have questions about, guide creation, guide maintenance, how would it be best structured? I'm struggling to make sure that I'm not, please reach out. There are a lot of us who are more than willing to have that conversation with you just to brainstorm and figure things out as well. So we made it about halfway through. The rest of the time, what I would like to do with all of you is have you, while you're in here with us, go ahead and create your own guide using, and obviously, if you were in Liz's previous instructions, there are other things that need to happen up here with group URLs and that kind of stuff. But the main thing here is getting you into the other functionality aspects of it. Obviously, when you go back and you look at the create a guide, it's going to walk you through some of those other details, but I want to get you in here and actually messing around with the widgets and the stuff like that while you have us here. Okay, so let me drop this naming. So this is the naming convention. Okay. And then it would be under the sandbox group. So does anyone here not, so let me finish off with this. You can create a guide as your sandbox that is about anything. Do you like tractors? Do you like a particular anime? Do you like yarn? Do you like horses? Do you like dogs? Do you like dogs and not cats? You can create a guide about literally anything like that, because again, the goal is if it's something you're interested in, you're going to want to go in and mess with stuff because you're invested and interested. If, however, you are not able to come up with something immediately that you want to do, I do have find where it's at, file, my computer. I do have this. Oh, probably help if I closed it. Oh, goodness. All right, let's try that one more time. My computer. This is something that I just threw together that is intended to help you out if you would prefer something that's a bit more rubric based, something that gives you some guidance on an idea.
Okay, so at this time, we're going to go ahead and stop the recording. So you can feel free to share your screen, ask questions, whatever you need to comfortably without being recorded. And you are up and ready to go with whatever you want to create.
And if you have any questions based off, I know that was a lot thrown at you all at one time. If you have questions as you're getting in here, please throw them out there.